Hello, boys and girls. So, today is your last lesson, your last task in persuasive writing before we move on to our next task. So, you should have planned, and you should have written your first draft in your remote learning jotter. Now, today's lesson is about editing your writing, and I thought I would do just a little PowerPoint to give you a few ideas of how this should be done and what standard I am expecting, okay? So, let's begin. You're going to be able to make simple additions and revisions and corrections to your own writing. So, you should be able to spot spelling mistakes. I can make sure that the punctuation is accurate in my writing. I can check that my writing makes sense. Okay. So, sorry, there's a little update at the top of my iPad. Right, so editing. People who write books don't just write a story and send it to the publishers. They've got to edit it and rework their work. It's not like you write a first draft and go, bish, bash, bosh, I am done, okay? You've got to look back over your work for it to be the best possible work that you can hand in. So we're going to practice that today, and we're going to make our writing the best that we possibly can. Right, have a look at the sentence. It has 2 spell mistakes. Can you find them? And can you correct them? Now, I don't want you to write this in your jotter. I don't want you to, have to send a voice note to me. I think I could trust you to do this activity where you can find them and fix them in your head. You may even jot it down in a wee note if you want to, okay? So, can you find the spelling mistakes and can you fix them now? Pause the video now. Okay, boys and girls. So, I'm going to reveal the 2 words that has a spelling mistake. As I worked down the road, I saw a green car racing towards me. So sometimes reading out can help. So yeah, you should have noticed that worked was not the correct spelling, and saw is not how we say saw. I saw is the spelling that you can see there. Right, okay, there are 3 mistakes in this sentence. Same again. Can you do this activity in your mind? Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back, boys and girls. The smarl cat was sitting on the wall. It looked at the mouse below and licked its lips. Okay? The small was... Now, that is actually a word that a lot of children get wrong, so be careful of that one. Looked at the mouse below and licked its lips. Okay, so whenever you finish a piece of writing, which you should have done yesterday, you make sure you read it back to yourself. Now, I say this in class. You should always read it out loud. Find a nice quiet space, because sometimes I have to read it about a good 3 times just to make sure that I've not missed any words, that I've not made any spell mistakes, and my punctuation's correct. I'm actually really bad. This is one of my weaknesses in writing, and I notice it when I do go back and edit my work. My brain really works so fast when I'm writing that I often miss out words because my pencil doesn't go fast enough. So that's okay. I mean, it's absolutely fine. We're all human, but we should be using the skill of going back and proofreading our work and editing it. So make sure you read it back to yourself and correct any spell mistakes. So what I would probably do is I would read it over, and I'd be looking for spelling mistakes first. So we go back. Now, when I'm looking for spell mistakes, sometimes you just don't know if it's spelled incorrectly. Often what happens with me, boys and girls, is I will look at a word and see if I look at it too long. Sometimes I'm like, I've looked at that too long. I don't know if that's right or not now. So even Mrs. Morn will go and check the spelling in a dictionary or on the internet. I will be very honest about that. There's some words that maybe I don't even use that often. And if it's an unfamiliar word, And I think to myself, well, I don't write that very often. I don't use that very often. I'm a bit unsure if I've spelt it correctly. I'll always give it a bash, because your first draft is always about giving it a bash. Just getting your ideas down onto paper, okay? So I don't worry too much about spelling in my first draft. But when it comes to my second draft, I'll sit and I'll say to myself, oh, that word persuasive, for example. I said that word, I wrote that word down, but I remember having to really think hard when I was writing it in my first draft. And I remember thinking, I'm not sure if that's spelt correctly. If you have any doubt about the spelling, or if it's an unfamiliar word, or if it's a word you don't use usually or often, you double check it. You 100% double check it. That's what today's editing's about. And then what I would do is I would go in with a coloured pencil on my first draft, and I would just cross it out if it was wrong, and I'd write the correct spelling up above. The reason I use a coloured pencil is because it stands out. I know I've made a mistake, so then I know that the coloured pencil is the correct way and how to spell it. So that's the way I would do it. First of all, I would check all my spelling. Then I would read it again, and I would go and check and see if there were any words that I missed out, okay? And then usually there are. So I normally do a little arrow at the space where the word needs to go, and then write it up above. That's what I do. Sometimes when we're writing, we miss out full stops and capital letters. So let's have a wee practice. Can you see what's missing in these sentences? I love going to the park sometimes when it is sunny. I could stay there all day. Okay? So pause the video now. Okay, welcome back, boys and girls. Did you spot the mistakes? Let's see if you got it correct. Oh, yep, there we go. So I love going to the park sometimes. Can you see that was a full stop there? Sentences don't always need to be big. They don't always need to have a conjunction to join sentences together. Sometimes, and that's what makes in writing interesting. You can have some short sentences. You can join sentences together with conjunctions like and, but, for. So it makes writing interesting. So that's a nice short sentence. I love going to the park sometimes. When it is sunny, I could stay there all day. Now, can I just point out that small I? I see this in lots of your work, boys and girls. Some of you forget that it's a capital letter for I and all the way throughout our writing if it's on its own. So the rule of, it must be at the start of a sentence. For I, that does not work. It's always a capital. So remember that, because that is a mistake I see in a lot of the writing. Right, here's another one. Tom looked down at the dragon. It had green scales and was blowing fire out through his nose. Tom didn't know what to do next. Now, already I know that's a very long sentence. So I need to be thinking about where's my capital letters, and where does the full stops go, because it's very big. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back, boys and girls. Did you spot it? Let's see. Tom looked down at the dragon. Now, you can see it's a natural full stop there. I naturally pause. Tom looked down at the dragon. It had green scales and was blowing fire out through his nose. Right, here's another top tip. A lot of you forget to give capital letters with names. So if you are naming, if it's a proper noun, you must have a capital letter. Okay? So if you're using a name, if you are including a city, if it's an important noun, it must be capital. Right, now it's your turn. You're going to take a look at your writing that you did yesterday. Okay? I want you to find a coloured pencil. Okay, and if you can't find a coloured pencil, I will put a template on this, okay? And you can upload a photograph of your remote learning jotter, and you can use the tools on that to edit. Now, once you've edited your work, you must rewrite your second draft, and this is important, in your remote learning jotter. I don't want you to type it, okay? I don't mind you using the editing, the uploading a photograph and using the writing tool or the text box for editing. But I do assess your handwriting for hot tasks. I assess your ability to put it into paragraphs. Also, you should be looking at all your technical skills criteria. Now, I'm going to attach that to the template, a photograph of the technical skills. Now, this was on your planning lesson, okay? This is the most important time to look at that success criteria. And all the technical skills you should be using will be in that photograph. And you should be applying that today. Okay, so 1, you need to be listening to this PowerPoint. 2, task 2, you need to go into your first draft and you are going to edit it with everything we've learned and practiced today. And then task 3, you've got to rewrite your second draft with your very best handwriting, and all the edits and all the mistakes that you've fixed, you've got to transfer it into your second piece, and that is your very final piece that I will assess, okay? I do look at your planning as well, boys and girls, and I do look at your editing to show that you can do that. So be careful with that, okay? Off you go.